Ancient Egypt has always been a land of mysteries. Here, beneath the desert sun and the looming shadows of the pyramids, countless strange stories still linger, stories that science has yet to fully explain. There are mummies shrouded in chilling curses, entire armies that vanished without a trace in the sea of sand, and mysterious wall paintings that make us wonder if visitors from beyond our world once walked among us. Each enigma sparks our curiosity and makes us question what truly happened in this land thousands of years ago. In today's video, let's explore the unsolved secrets of ancient Egypt together. So fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. The Mummy's Curse on the Titanic. On April 10, 1912, the legendary ship Titanic departed from the port of Southampton, England, carrying 2,224 passengers and crew members. This was its first transatlantic journey and also the final voyage of what was then the largest ship ever built. But few people knew that behind the glamorous facade of the Titanic was a mysterious story about a curse from an Egyptian mummy that, even to this day, many still believe played a part in sealing the ship's tragic fate. This strange story began in the late 19th century in Egypt when a group of British archaeologists accidentally discovered the mummy of a powerful female priestess who had lived around 1500 BC. The mummy was perfectly preserved inside an ornate sarcophagus, decorated with numerous warnings written in Egyptian hieroglyphs carved into its surface. One of the inscriptions clearly spelled out a terrifying curse: "Whoever dares to disturb my eternal sleep will face a dreadful disaster." Despite warnings from local people and the frightening curse inscribed on the sarcophagus, the team of archaeologists decided to take the mummy back to England for display in a museum. From the very start of the transport, many strange incidents began to occur. The local workers involved, one by one, suffered accidents or fell ill under mysterious circumstances, and some even died in unusual ways. Nevertheless, the mummy was still brought onto a ship to be transported back to England. When it arrived in London, the situation became even more frightening. Scientists who took part in studying the mummy were struck by a series of personal tragedies, ranging from traffic accidents to mysterious illnesses with no clear cause. Even museum staff refused to work near the sarcophagus, as they always felt a chilling cold and an unbearable heaviness whenever they came close. Rumors about the mummy's curse spread rapidly among the British aristocracy and the wealthy upper class. In order to avoid the continuing misfortunes, the coffin's owner decided to sell it to a wealthy American collector. This billionaire made the decision to take the mummy to America for display at a museum in New York, and the means of transportation he chose was none other than the famous Titanic, which was preparing for its first voyage. From the moment the mummy was brought onto the Titanic, strange stories quickly circulated among the crew. The sailors whispered to each other about mysterious noises coming from the cargo hold, and some passengers said they felt uneasy whenever they passed by the area where the coffin was kept. Still, most passengers dismissed these rumors as mere superstition with no basis. But then, on the night of April 14, 1912, everything changed forever. The Titanic, while gliding across the icy Atlantic, suddenly collided with a huge iceberg. In less than 3 hours, the great ship, once hailed as unsinkable, broke apart and sank to the bottom of the ocean. After the disaster, stories about the mummy's curse on the Titanic resurfaced with even greater intensity. Some survivors claimed that as the Titanic was sinking, they saw the shadowy figure of an Egyptian woman in ancient attire standing on the deck. Stories like this spread widely and led many people to put even more faith in the terrifying curse of the Egyptian mummy. However, historians have presented differing views. Some experts insist that there was never any Egyptian mummy recorded in the official cargo or luggage lists of the Titanic. They believe that the story of the curse was simply a product of people's imagination at the time, invented to explain tragedies that were otherwise unexplainable by science. Even so, there are still many strange details that cannot be fully explained. Supporters of the curse theory argue that it's very possible the mummy was secretly brought onto the ship and not listed in official records out of fear of alarming the passengers, and it was precisely this act that brought the Titanic the tragic fate now recorded in history. To this day, the mystery of the mummy's curse on the Titanic still has no clear answer. Was it truly an ancient curse that sent the Titanic to the bottom of the ocean, or just a frightening coincidence born out of a chain of misfortunes? The disappearance of the city of Heraklion. In the summer of 2000, underwater archaeologists unexpectedly discovered the impressive ruins of an ancient city that had been lying submerged beneath the Mediterranean Sea, about 6 kilometers off the coast of Egypt. When the team of divers and specialists first approached these structures, they could hardly believe their eyes. Beneath the cold, shadowy waters, massive stone statues, majestic temples, and traces of bustling ancient harbors appeared before them, astonishingly intact after thousands of years. This city was once known as Heraklion, and its disappearance beneath the sea has become one of the greatest archaeological mysteries in the world. Heraklion, called Thonis by the ancient Egyptians, was once one of the richest and most important commercial cities of the Mediterranean. Built in the 8th century BC, the city flourished thanks to its strategic location right at the mouth of the Nile River, linking Egypt to distant lands such as Greece and other neighboring countries. As a crucial gateway for trade, Heraklion quickly became an international commercial hub. But Heraklion was not only famous for its wealth and trade, it was also a major religious center, hosting grand festivals in honor of the god Amun-Gareb. Heraklion's massive temple welcomed thousands of pilgrims each year with solemn rituals and ceremonies that drew Egyptian nobles as well as visitors from across distant lands. In many ways, Heraklion embodied the prosperity and power of ancient Egypt. However, around the 2nd century BC, everything began to change. Ancient records note that Heraklion gradually lost its commercial significance as the city founded by Alexander the Great rapidly surpassed it. Yet that was not the main reason for its ultimate downfall. Modern researchers, based on newly excavated evidence, believe that Heraklion faced a series of devastating natural disasters, especially the phenomenon known as soil liquefaction. Soil liquefaction is a terrifying geological process. When an earthquake strikes, the ground beneath a city can shake so violently that layers of wet sand beneath the surface turn from solid to liquid, causing enormous structures like temples and statues to suddenly sink beneath the sea. Some scientists believe a massive earthquake, accompanied by a tsunami around the year 365 AD, sealed Heraklion's fate forever, turning what was once a symbol of power and prosperity into a city forgotten beneath the waves. After that, Heraklion all but disappeared from historical memory. For centuries afterward, the city was known only through vague writings from ancient historians. It was not until the year 2000, when a research team led by French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio happened upon these underwater ruins, that the truth slowly began to surface. When they first approached the submerged remains, archaeologists found not only enormous stone statues still standing, but also unearthed ancient coins, ceramic vessels, jewelry, and hundreds of other precious artifacts. One of the most astonishing discoveries was the giant stone statue of Hapi, the god who ruled over the legendary Nile River, along with a multitude of ancient shipwrecks still filled with cargo. During their studies, experts also found ancient stone stelae carved with hieroglyphics describing in detail religious festivals, administrative decrees, and most importantly, accounts of natural disasters that struck the city. These findings helped reinforce the theory that repeated catastrophes were the reason Heraklion gradually declined and was finally swallowed by the sea. Although research continues, to this day, fully unraveling the disappearance of Heraklion remains a major challenge for the scientific community. Are there still more secrets buried beneath the deep mud and sand of the ocean floor? Despite so many unanswered questions, the discovery of Heraklion has given both scientists and all of us a vivid, tangible look at the fragility of great civilizations throughout history. What do you think truly happened to Heraklion in those fateful final days? And could we yet find more secrets hidden beneath the deep sea? Who was the first pharaoh of Egypt? Across thousands of years of ancient Egyptian history, hundreds of pharaohs rose to power and passed away in magnificent palaces or beneath the silent shadows of great pyramids. But when it comes to identifying the very first pharaoh, everything suddenly becomes unclear. Even today, archaeologists and historians have yet to find a definitive answer about the true identity of this mysterious king. The story of the first pharaoh began around 5,000 years ago, when the land of Egypt was still divided into independent regions. At that time, Egypt consisted of two separate kingdoms, Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north. According to ancient records, this was an era marked by constant conflict as local chieftains battled one another for supreme power over the fertile lands along the legendary Nile River. It was during this tumultuous period that a mysterious historical figure emerged. Ancient texts and carvings on stone tablets thousands of years old all suggest that a powerful king ended the chaos and unified the two regions, establishing Egypt's first royal dynasty and opening a new chapter in ancient civilization. However, the true identity of this ruler remains a subject of debate. The ancient Egyptians referred to him as Menes, a legendary figure mentioned in the oldest historical records. But modern archaeologists have found no direct evidence to clearly identify who Menes really was. Today's scholars present two main theories, with the most frequently discussed candidates being Pharaoh Narmer and Pharaoh Hora-Ha. Pharaoh Narmer is known as the king who conquered and ruled over his enemies from Lower Egypt. This is seen as compelling evidence that Narmer was the first to unite the two lands, thus beginning the very first unified Egyptian dynasty. At the same time, Pharaoh Hora-Ha is another figure of great interest among researchers. Archaeological discoveries at Abydos have revealed evidence suggesting that Hora-Ha truly ruled a unified Egypt, with clear traces of centralized power and a newly established administrative system. Some scholars have even suggested that Menes was not a specific individual, but rather a collective name for both Narmer and Hora-Ha, or perhaps a special title given to the first unifier of Egypt. Later, archaeological finds only added to the complexity of the issue. During excavations at Abydos in the early 20th century, researchers uncovered the tombs of both Narmer and Hora-Ha. Narmer's burial site was rather modest, while Hora-Ha was laid to rest with far more elaborate and grand ceremonies. This has left historians even more confused. Was Hora-Ha truly the first ruler of a unified Egypt, taking power after Narmer had only completed the conquest? Despite these long-standing debates, today's scientific community still has not reached a final conclusion about who was truly the first pharaoh of Egypt. Many modern historians believe that precisely identifying this ancient king may forever remain impossible, as historical evidence from this period is exceedingly scarce and ambiguous. In many cases, scholars have accepted that Menes was likely more of a symbol than an actual individual. But this uncertainty is exactly what gives Egyptian history its unique allure. The fact that the identity of the first pharaoh remains a mystery only fuels our curiosity about the earliest days of this remarkable civilization. Was it Narmer or Hora-Ha who truly played the most crucial role in forging a unified Egypt? Are there still other secrets lying hidden beneath the earth waiting to be discovered? Who do you think was truly the first pharaoh in ancient Egyptian history? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Wall murals and aliens. Ancient Egypt has long been famous for countless mysteries that captivate both scientists and the general public, from colossal pyramids to eternal mummies. But in recent years, researchers and archaeology enthusiasts have turned their attention to the strange murals found inside ancient temples and tombs. One of the most famous cases involves carvings at the ancient temple of Abydos, located about 450 kilometers south of Cairo. Built during the reign of Pharaoh Seti-I and his son, this temple preserves many murals created more than 3,000 years ago. What puzzles researchers and visitors alike are the unusual images carved into these stone panels, most notably a series of symbols and shapes that look strikingly similar to modern helicopters and submarines. When these strange images first came to public attention in the late 20th century, many people were convinced that this was clear evidence ancient Egyptian civilization had once contacted some kind of extraterrestrial life. According to this theory, these visitors brought advanced technology and helped humans construct those magnificent architectural wonders. However, traditional Egyptologists offer different explanations. They argue that these unusual images are simply the result of overlapping carvings created over generations of pharaohs. According to this view, new inscriptions were carved on top of old ones, creating confusing shapes that happen to resemble helicopters, airplanes, and spacecraft. But Abydos is not the only place where such mysteries appear. At the famous Temple of Hathor in Dendera, another mural has sparked just as much controversy. This artwork depicts what looks like giant light bulbs, each containing a glowing, coiled, snake-shaped filament. Supporters of the ancient alien hypothesis claim this is evidence that the Egyptians possessed a form of advanced lighting technology, one supposedly given to them by beings from another world. Remarkably, when modern engineers recreated the design to the exact proportions depicted in the mural, they discovered that these ancient light bulbs from Dendera could actually work if provided with the proper electric source. This finding only strengthened arguments that the Egyptians may have received help from extraterrestrial beings. Not only that, but some other murals in the tombs of the Valley of the Kings show images of mysterious creatures unlike any known humans. These figures do not match the traditional art style of ancient Egypt and further fuel the belief that they might be realistic depictions of beings that the Egyptians once encountered. Even more striking, a number of independent researchers have spent decades searching for more evidence of contact between the Egyptians and extraterrestrials. They point out that the development of ancient Egyptian civilization was unusually rapid, especially in fields like mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. For example, the pyramids were built with such extraordinary precision that it seems almost unbelievable given the technological level of that era. Nevertheless, despite the heated debates and ongoing controversy, mainstream science still cannot fully accept the idea that aliens ever intervened in ancient Egyptian civilization. For these scholars, all the strange images are either misunderstandings or intentional religious symbols created by the ancients to carry hidden meanings. Regardless of the debates, these mysterious murals and carvings continue to fascinate and fire the imagination of millions of people around the world. Perhaps it is the very lack of a definitive, convincing explanation that gives these ancient Egyptian mysteries their endless allure. The 20,000-year mystery of the labyrinth beneath the pyramids. For thousands of years, Egypt's pyramids have stood as symbols of the mysterious power of ancient civilization. But few people know that, buried deep beneath the scorching sands near these great pyramids, there is said to be a labyrinth so ancient that its origins stretch back more than 20,000 years. Stories of the labyrinth beneath the pyramids have long puzzled archaeologists, hinting at secrets that reach far beyond human imagination. The tale of this mysterious labyrinth begins around 450 BC, when the renowned Greek historian Herodotus visited Egypt. He described a colossal underground structure near Lake Moeris, about 100 kilometers south of modern Cairo. Herodotus called it the labyrinth, a maze so complex that even the most experienced local guides dared not venture too far inside for fear they would never find their way out. According to Herodotus's account, this labyrinth contained over 3,000 rooms, twisting corridors, and spiral tunnels spread across many subterranean levels. Each room was filled with strange bas-reliefs, ancient writings, and mysterious stone statues depicting creatures and symbols that defied explanation. The Greek historian even claimed that this mysterious structure was grander and more impressive than the famous Pyramid of Giza itself. But the legend of the labyrinth did not only appear in Herodotus's writings. Centuries later, the Greek geographer Strabo also mentioned a gigantic subterranean maze in Egypt, calling it the most astonishing structure he had ever seen. Yet, after the Roman era, nearly all records of this mysterious labyrinth vanished from history. For many centuries afterward, the labyrinth was seen more as legend than historical fact. Modern archaeologists and historians doubted its reality, as no clear traces of it had been uncovered during excavations. But in the 19th and 20th centuries, archaeological surveys near Lake Moeris began to reveal unusual signs hinting at the existence of a vast underground structure buried deep beneath the sand. By 2008, an international research team conducted a ground-penetrating radar scan near the Hawara Pyramid complex. The initial results stunned the archaeological community. They detected clear evidence of an enormous subterranean structure with countless corridors, rooms, and passageways arranged in a way that was both complex and incredibly precise. This discovery instantly revived what had once seemed to be mere legend. What was even more astonishing was that when scientists compared the data from these surveys, they realized the underground structure could be far older than the pyramids themselves, its age estimated at nearly 20,000 years. Who could have constructed such a massive and intricate monument at a time when humanity was not thought to possess the technical ability for such feats? Several theories have been proposed to explain this mystery. Some scholars believe the labyrinth may have been the creation of an advanced civilization that existed and disappeared long before the Egypt we know ever rose. According to this view, the labyrinth was an enormous library, preserving ancient knowledge, perhaps even secrets about the origins and destiny of humanity. Other researchers have proposed even more controversial ideas, suggesting the labyrinth may be the legacy of extraterrestrial visitors who came to Earth thousands of years ago, leaving behind this maze as a kind of base or information vault for future humans. While this theory has yet to gain wide acceptance in the scientific community, it remains a topic of fascination and curiosity for many. Today, despite these remarkable discoveries, access to the labyrinth remains extremely difficult. The structure lies buried beneath dozens of meters of sand, and there are significant legal and administrative obstacles imposed by the Egyptian authorities. All of this only adds to the allure of the 20,000-year-old labyrinth beneath the pyramids, making it one of the greatest and most captivating mysteries for archaeologists and the public worldwide. the disappearance of Cambyses' army. In 524 BC, Cambyses II, emperor of the mighty Persian Empire, sent an army of more than 50,000 soldiers into the Egyptian desert on a mission to conquer the legendary Siwa oasis. This oasis was home to the Temple of Amun, regarded by the ancient Egyptians as one of their most sacred sites and a place where kings sought prophecies about their fate. However, as soon as the army ventured deep into the harsh desert, they vanished without a trace. For thousands of years afterward, the fate of Cambyses' army has remained one of the most perplexing historical mysteries humanity has ever known. The story begins with Cambyses II, who ascended the Persian throne in 530 BC, succeeding his father, Cyrus the Great. Driven by a desire to expand his empire, Cambyses swiftly conquered Egypt, becoming the first foreign king to rule this mysterious land. But not satisfied with his victories, Cambyses set his sights on the distant Siwa oasis, deep in Egypt's western desert. Siwa was renowned as the site of the Temple of Amun, one of the most important deities of ancient Egypt. Cambyses wanted to destroy this temple to assert his ultimate power over both the gods and the Egyptian people. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, Cambyses dispatched a massive army, fully supplied with food and water, to march across the unforgiving desert. At first, the army progressed steadily, but midway through their journey, they faced increasingly severe conditions. In a desolate stretch of the desert, a gigantic sandstorm suddenly struck and engulfed the entire army. When the storm passed, all 50,000 men had vanished, leaving behind no trace whatsoever. Immediately after this mysterious event, Cambyses sent out several search parties to look for his missing army, but every effort proved futile. Not a single piece of armor or any evidence of the soldiers was ever found among the vast desert sands. The disappearance of such a large force quickly became one of the strangest legends of the ancient world, baffling even the most seasoned historians. For more than 2,000 years, archaeologists and historians have put forward numerous theories to explain this event. One of the most widely accepted ideas is that the army was completely buried by the sandstorm. With the immense power of Sahara's sandstorms, the entire force may have been entombed under dozens of meters of sand, making any search for remains almost impossible. Some other experts suggest that Cambyses' army did not simply fall victim to a natural disaster. According to these theories, the army may have been betrayed or misled by local Egyptian guides, who purposely led them into a deadly stretch of desert where they quickly became exhausted and succumbed to the elements. Another intriguing theory involves the supernatural and ancient curses. Many ancient Egyptians believed that the god Amun became enraged at Cambyses' plan to violate his sacred temple. To protect the holy land of Siwa, Amun summoned the sandstorm and wiped out the entire foreign army. In recent years, with the help of advanced satellite surveying technology, archaeologists have begun new searches in hopes of shedding light on this millennia-old enigma. Initial findings have revealed unusual features beneath the sands of the Sahara, including metallic objects and structures resembling ancient military equipment. However, actual excavation remains extremely difficult due to the harsh desert conditions, and so the mystery of Cambyses' lost army continues unsolved. To this day, the disappearance of Cambyses' army stands as one of history's greatest unanswered questions. Were they truly swallowed by the forces of nature, or did they meet an even stranger fate? The time machine of ancient Egypt. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Egyptian civilization thrived along the banks of the Nile. The Egyptians were not only famous for their magnificent pyramids and the mysteries of their mummies, but also for their profound knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and religion. They carefully recorded everything on papyrus or carved it into stone, from mystical rituals to practical predictions about the seasons. Yet, there are ancient texts that send chills down the spine of modern researchers. Many passages seem to have foretold great upheavals in the future with uncanny accuracy. One of the most remarkable documents is the Ipuwer Papyrus, discovered in Saqqara and dated to around 1800 to 1600 BC. Its content describes a time of chaos, natural disasters, and social upheaval. Notably, Ipuwer wrote, "The Nile is in blood, people drink water and shrink from it. The land trembles, the rich become poor." Some believe this was a record of an actual catastrophe, but many scholars question whether it might have been a prophecy about events yet to come. What is especially strange is that the descriptions in the Ipuwer Papyrus closely resemble those found in the Book of Exodus in the Bible. Some researchers believe the document was not only recording past events, but also warning about natural disaster cycles that could repeat. Egyptologist David Rohl even connected these disasters to the eruption of the Thera volcano on Santorini around 1600 BC, which triggered tsunamis and widespread climate changes. If this is true, the Egyptians were not only recording disasters but also grasping the sequence of long-term effects. But how could they have known such events would occur? Did they rely on astronomical observations, or did they possess some special kind of knowledge? Another mysterious text is the Prophecy of Neferti, dating to around 1991 to 1786 BC. This tale tells of a sage named Neferti who predicted the fall of Egypt to foreign invaders and the coming of a king who would save the nation. Remarkably, this prophecy was written before Egypt was invaded by the Hyksos and before Pharaoh Ahmose drove them out, even though these events took place centuries later. Many believe the Egyptians could see future upheavals either through astronomical observation or religious intuition. In reality, the ancient Egyptians were famous for their study of the night sky. They built a 365-day calendar based on the appearance of the star Sirius, allowing them to predict the Nile's annual flooding with astonishing accuracy. Researchers like Robert Bauval have even noticed that the pyramids at Giza and the Sphinx seem aligned with the Orion constellation, as if marking or predicting cosmic events. Some suggest the Egyptians' deep understanding of nature and the universe was so advanced, it was almost as if they possessed a time machine. However, there is no evidence of an actual device like those described in science fiction. Other theories suggest that the Egyptians' prophetic knowledge may have originated from external cultures. Their contacts with ancient Mesopotamia brought astrological techniques, which sometimes appeared in Egyptian rituals. Still, most Egyptian texts leaned toward religious explanations and a focus on harmony with the gods. Not every one of their predictions came true either. For example, the prophecy of Hermopolis claimed Egypt would prosper forever, yet the nation ultimately declined under Greek and Roman rule. Did the Egyptians truly possess knowledge ahead of their time, or were they simply master observers? The papyri and stone inscriptions of Egypt remain as a challenge to our modern imagination. The Egyptian Tower of Light. Throughout history, the civilization of ancient Egypt has continually amazed the modern world with its timeless achievements. The Egyptians not only built the Great Pyramid of Giza with near-perfect precision, but also invented the 365-day calendar and developed a detailed system of record-keeping on papyrus. Yet, there is one small but persistent mystery inside their tombs and temples that has baffled archaeologists for generations. In places where sunlight could never reach, like the Temple of Hathor at Dendera or the burial chambers in the Valley of the Kings, the Egyptians were somehow able to create intricate carvings and reliefs of unbelievable quality. How could they have accomplished this without the use of fire for illumination? Many believe that the Egyptians may have possessed an advanced lighting technology far ahead of their time. One of the most famous clues is the so-called Dendera light bulb relief at the Temple of Hathor, discovered in the 19th century. The image depicts a long object resembling a giant glass tube with a filament inside, held up by a serpent deity named Harsomptis. On either side are figures that seem to be operating or manipulating the device, and a cable connects the object to a mysterious stone box. For many observers, the scene is strikingly similar to a modern electric light bulb. The bold hypothesis suggests that the ancient Egyptians may have used electricity to illuminate underground spaces. However, most traditional archaeologists reject this idea. They argue that the relief is merely a religious symbol, reflecting mythology about the birth of the sun god from a lotus flower, not a depiction of real technology. Some scholars offer another explanation, proposing that the Egyptians used a system of polished copper mirrors to channel sunlight deep into tombs. These mirrors could create an artificial tower of light to guide natural light into the depths of the burial chambers. However, this theory cannot explain how the Egyptians could work at night or in tombs with no access to outside light. Others have suggested they used oil lamps made from vegetable oil or animal fat with special wicks designed to burn cleanly without soot. Yet, modern experiments show that no matter how refined, oil lamps always leave some traces of soot, something never found in Egyptian monuments. There are also theories related to natural electrical energy. The Great Pyramid of Giza, located near the geographic center of the Earth, was built from a special type of nummulitic limestone that can conduct electricity at high frequencies. Some believe the pyramid could once have functioned as a giant light generator, creating charged particles similar to the aurora borealis. They even link this idea to Nikola Tesla's wireless lighting experiments in the 20th century, speculating that the Egyptians may have known how to harness geomagnetic energy. In addition, legends of the Tower of Light appear in several ancient texts. Some papyri describe rituals in temples where light burst forth in the darkness without the use of fire. Yet these accounts are highly symbolic, making verification even more challenging. Some people have even gone so far as to suggest that this knowledge came from an extraterrestrial civilization, though most scientists affirm that the ingenuity and creativity of the Egyptians were entirely their own. Despite all the theories, the mystery of Egypt's Tower of Light remains unsolved. Did the Egyptians truly invent a lighting technology far beyond their era, or were they simply masters at harnessing and directing natural light? What do you think about this enigma? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did the ancient Egyptians communicate with aliens? For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has towered over the desert, standing as one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Egyptian civilization. Yet, this very pyramid has fueled one of the most controversial theories in history. Did the ancient Egyptians really build the pyramids on their own, or did they receive help from an extraterrestrial civilization? The origins of this theory come from the many unexplained mysteries surrounding the construction of the pyramids. First, there are the massive stone blocks, weighing up to 50 tons each, which were transported from the Aswan quarries nearly 900 kilometers away to the construction site at Giza. Then there's the question of how the Egyptians were able to lift and precisely position these stones at heights nearing 150 meters, apparently using only simple, primitive tools. These challenges have sparked the idea that aliens may have taught the Egyptians advanced building techniques. Supporters of this theory also point to the fact that the Great Pyramid is aligned with the Orion constellation, something they say would have required astronomical knowledge far beyond that era. Many also highlight other strange phenomena associated with the pyramids. Reliefs in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, which depict objects resembling light bulbs, are believed by some to be evidence of ancient electrical technology. Other theories suggest that aliens may have used geomagnetic energy or flying devices to transport the stones, explaining the near-perfect alignment of the blocks. The ancient astronaut theory even links the pyramids of Giza with other mysterious monuments like Stonehenge, claiming that our ancestors may have mistaken extraterrestrials for gods. Some even go as far as to suggest that the pyramids were energy-gathering stations for beings from beyond Earth. However, the majority of modern scientists and archaeologists reject this hypothesis. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed many details about how the Egyptians actually built the pyramids. The Diary of Merer, for example, documents the transportation of limestone from Tura to Giza using boats along the Nile and an extensive canal system. Archaeologists have also found evidence of wooden sledges, rope, and a method of wetting the sand to reduce friction. Notably, the pyramid builders were not slaves, but paid workers. They lived in settlements near the construction sites and were well cared for in terms of food and medical needs. Egyptologists such as Zahi Hawass emphasize that the pyramids of Giza are the result of a tightly organized society and the development of local construction techniques. Still, the theory of alien involvement continues to capture the imagination of the public, fueled by television programs, internet articles, and the views of celebrities. These factors ensure that the mystery of the Great Pyramid of Giza will likely continue to fascinate the world for many centuries to come. Abydos flying objects of ancient Egypt. At the end of the 19th century, as archaeologists excavated an ancient temple at Abydos, they came across a collection of mysterious small gold artifacts. At first glance, these objects seemed unremarkable, except for their fine craftsmanship. But on closer inspection, observers were astonished. They looked exactly like modern airplanes, complete with tail fins, streamlined bodies, and especially a pair of wings shaped with true aerodynamic form. What puzzled scientists the most was that these models were made over 2,000 years ago, at a time when humans had not even dreamed of flight. These enigmatic artifacts were quickly named Abydos flying objects, or the miniature airplane models of Abydos. From the moment they were revealed to the public, these tiny relics sparked heated debates about the possible existence of advanced aviation technology in ancient Egypt, a technology that history has never recorded. The Abydos airplane models were found in the Temple of Seti I, a site famous for its intricate carvings and the mysterious stories surrounding legendary pharaohs. In total, more than 10 similar objects have been discovered in Egypt and South America, but the most notable examples are those from Abydos. The most prominent model was found in 1898. It measures about 15 centimeters long, with 2 wide wings and a vertical tail that resembles the design of a modern jet aircraft. What especially drew attention in the scientific community was that these artifacts clearly did not resemble any known bird or insect species. Some scientists initially believed these were just religious symbols, stylized from birds. However, when aeronautical engineers began to conduct detailed analyses, they identified odd features that simple symbolic explanations could not fully account for. In 1994, German aeronautics researcher Dr. Algund Ehenboom conducted wind tunnel tests on the Abydos models to study their aerodynamics. The results surprised many. The model not only had a stable structure but could also glide in a balanced way if built to the right scale and fitted with essential details such as a tail stabilizer or flaps. Ehenboom declared that the design of these models was clearly the result of a very sophisticated understanding of aerodynamics. Since then, the Abydos models have become a subject of intense controversy. Some archaeologists adamantly reject the idea that these artifacts were actually prototypes for airplanes. They argue that, although ancient Egyptian civilization was great, it could not possibly have had the technical capability to develop complex aviation technology. These archaeologists suggest the artifacts were simply decorative or ceremonial items, but artistically stylized. Yet, there are still many who believe in the bold hypothesis that the Abydos models are clear evidence that ancient humans once possessed knowledge of technology far beyond what we recognize today. Some have gone even further, suggesting that the Abydos airplane models prove contact between ancient Egyptians and extraterrestrial civilizations or supernatural entities that once visited our planet in the distant past. Even more remarkably, similar artifacts have been found in other ancient cultures, such as in Colombia and South America, golden models with perfectly aerodynamic shapes. The appearance of such similar objects at two locations thousands of miles apart with no known historical connection only deepens the mystery surrounding these ancient airplane models. Nevertheless, to this day, no single hypothesis has been able to convince everyone. The Abydos airplane models remain one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of ancient Egypt. Did the ancient Egyptians truly possess advanced aviation technology that was lost to time? Or are these simply the coincidental product of human imagination? And are there more secrets still buried deep underground, waiting to be uncovered and shed new light on this strange story? The true age of the Sphinx. On the west bank of the Nile, the Sphinx has stood guard over the desert for thousands of years. Carved from a single massive block of limestone, stretching more than 73 meters long and rising over 20 meters high, the Sphinx remains the largest monolithic statue still in existence. The ancient Egyptians saw it as the embodiment of the sun god, and many scholars believe its face bears the likeness of Pharaoh Khafre, the ruler who built the second largest pyramid at Giza. According to traditional archaeological records, the Sphinx was created sometime between 2558 and 2532 BC, but the mystery surrounding the Sphinx's true age has never faded. Most theories suggest the statue was carved directly from the limestone quarry near the pyramids, which also supplied material for the monumental tombs. One legend claims that while inspecting the site, Pharaoh Khafre discovered a large, unused stone block and ordered it shaped into a lion with his own face to leave his personal mark on the Giza Plateau. However, not everyone agrees with this story. In 2004, French Egyptologist Vassal Debreve offered a different opinion. He believes that it was actually Djedefre who commissioned the Sphinx to honor his father, Khufu, and to connect the great king with the sun god. Debate over the Sphinx's real age erupted when scientists began to focus on the statue's weathered surface. In the early 1990s, Boston University geologist Robert Schoch made headlines by asserting that the deep vertical grooves running along the body were caused by heavy rainfall, not by desert winds and sand. According to Schoch, this type of erosion could only have occurred when Egypt's climate was much wetter, between 7,000 and more than 10,000 years ago. Many other hydrologists have supported the idea that these ancient rainmarks suggest a much earlier date than the traditional theories allow. The story grew even more complex with the arrival of modern technology. In the 1980s, a Japanese archaeological team led by Professor Sakuji Yoshimura used ultrasound to examine the structure of the Sphinx and the Khufu pyramid. Their results indicated that the stones of the Sphinx had been worked earlier than those used in the pyramid, suggesting the statue may have been carved centuries before. Legends and ancient inscriptions add to the unresolved mysteries. The dream stele of Pharaoh Thutmose IV, erected around 1400 BC between the Sphinx's paws, records how the king dreamt that the statue pleaded with him to clear away the sand covering its body, promising him the throne in return. Some theories go even further, proposing that the Sphinx was the work of an extraterrestrial civilization, as its form and engineering seem to surpass the abilities of the ancients. To this day, the enigma of the Sphinx's true age remains unsolved. Was it built by Khafra or by a civilization even older? Are the weathered grooves the remnants of prehistoric rains or simply the result of wind and time? No single answer has satisfied everyone. The Mummy of Bashiri, the enigmatic art of Egyptian mummification. Deep within the Valley of the Kings at Luxor, the Mummy of Bashiri stands as one of the most intriguing discoveries made by archaeologist Howard Carter, even before his famous excavation of Tutankhamun's tomb. Bashiri was found in a small tomb, wrapped in intricately layered linen that has remained almost perfectly preserved after thousands of years. Scientists believe this is the mummy of a man about 1.67 meters tall, who lived during the Ptolemaic period, a time when the art of Egyptian mummification had reached its peak. Yet, the true identity of Bashiri remains a mystery. What sets Bashiri apart is the innovative technique used in his mummification. The linen strips were wrapped around his face and body in complex patterns, resembling miniature layers of a pyramid. Each strip was carefully placed, making the mummy not just a preserved body, but a true work of art. Every detail suggests Bashiri once held a high position in society, perhaps as an official or a wealthy noble. However, unwrapping the linen to seek definitive information is impossible, as each layer is so delicate that even a slight mistake could destroy this rare mummification technique. To learn more about Bashiri without causing harm to the mummy, scientists have turned to modern technology such as CT scans. The images revealed that the body was prepared with astonishing precision. The internal organs were removed through a small incision on the left side, but the heart was left intact. The brain was extracted using a special hook inserted through the nose, and then the entire body was packed with natron to dehydrate it over 40 days. Once the body had dried, it was coated with resin to increase flexibility, then carefully wrapped in hundreds of meters of linen and adorned with numerous protective amulets to safeguard the soul's journey to the afterlife. Even today, despite all our technological advances, the mystery of Bashiri remains unsolved. The Mummy of Bashiri is not just the remains of a single person, but a mirror reflecting the art, religion, and creative spirit of ancient Egypt. As technology continues to advance, scientists hope that one day the secrets hidden beneath those fragile linen layers will finally be revealed. The Curse of King Tutankhamun. On November 4th, 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter and his team discovered the steps leading down to the tomb of King Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings. Tutankhamun was a young pharaoh of Egypt's 18th dynasty, ascending the throne at just 9 years old and passing away at 18. Inside his tomb, archaeologists found over 5,000 priceless artifacts, from gold to rare jewelry. This discovery was quickly hailed as one of the greatest achievements in the history of archaeology. However, the excitement didn't last long. The initial joy was soon replaced by a series of strange events. Rumors began to spread of a curse inscribed on clay tablets in the tomb, warning, "Death will cut off the wings of whoever disturbs the pharaoh's rest." Even though researchers could not find conclusive evidence of this inscription, the rumors alone were enough to sow fear about a deadly curse. Just a few months after the tomb was opened, the first tragedy struck. George Herbert, the main financial backer of the excavation, died suddenly in Cairo on April 5, 1923. He suffered an infection from a mosquito bite on his cheek, which led to blood poisoning and pneumonia. Strangely, at the very moment of his death, all of Cairo lost electricity for several minutes, and his loyal dog in England began howling before dying soon after. 2 years later, when scientists examined King Tutankhamun's mummy, they found a red mark on the pharaoh's left cheek, matching the fatal bite on Herbert's face. This coincidence became a hot topic in the press and sparked the legend of the Curse of Tutankhamun. Even the famous writer Arthur Conan Doyle suggested that spirits summoned by Egyptian priests had caused Herbert's death. Afterward, more misfortunes followed. George J. Gould, an American financier who had visited the tomb, died of a sudden fever just days after his visit. Egyptologist Hugh Evelyn White, who was present during the excavation, hanged himself in 1924, leaving behind a bloody message saying he had been cursed forever. Arthur Mace, a member of Carter's team, fell into a coma and died mysteriously that same year. By 1929, more than 20 people connected to the tomb had died from various causes. In 1972, Dr. Gamal Merez publicly mocked the curse and died under mysterious circumstances after supervising the transfer of Tutankhamun's artifacts to London. These successive deaths only deepened public belief that the tomb was truly cursed to punish anyone who dared to disturb it. Scientists, however, have offered more practical explanations. In 2024, researchers suggested that radioactive substances such as uranium, as well as toxic chemicals present in the tomb's sealed environment, could have contributed to cancer, similar to what Howard Carter experienced. Another theory points to the deadly mold Aspergillus flavus, which grows on food and mummies inside tombs and can cause severe lung diseases if inhaled. This mold was also discovered in the tomb of King Casimir IV in Poland in 1973, after several members of the excavation team died mysteriously. Bags of bread and raw grains left in Tutankhamun's tomb may have nurtured the spores for thousands of years, infecting people like Carnarvon or mace upon contact. Despite these scientific explanations, some cases remain hard to fully understand. Bruce Ingham, who received a mummy-shaped paperweight from Carter, lost 2 houses in a row to fire and flood. The curse of King Tutankhamun, whatever its origin, remains an enduring symbol of mystery. The story not only honors the greatness of the young pharaoh, but also reminds us that history still holds many secrets we have yet to unravel. The treasure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. According to historian Herodotus, the ancient Egyptians always buried their pharaohs with gold, pearls, and precious jewels to ensure wealth in the afterlife. Royal tombs typically contained amulets, gilded pottery, and countless valuable artifacts, just as the tomb of Tutankhamun stunned the world with over 5,000 objects. Because of Khufu's status, many have long believed that the treasure in his tomb must have surpassed that of any other pharaoh. Yet in reality, archaeologists have never found a mummy or treasure inside the Great Pyramid, a stark contrast to the discoveries in other royal tombs. A common theory holds that everything was looted by grave robbers not long after Khufu's burial. As early as the Old Kingdom, tomb robbing was a serious problem. Egyptologist David Silverman notes that thieves often targeted gold and amulets wrapped around the mummy, even sometimes stealing the pharaoh's body itself. Evidence such as hacked corridors and broken sarcophagi in Khufu's pyramid supports this idea. Still, not everyone is convinced that all the treasure was stolen. In 2013, archaeologist Pierre Tallet discovered the Diary of Merer, a 4,500-year-old papyrus scroll now called an invaluable treasure. This document, written in hieroglyphs, details the transport of limestone from Tura to Giza under the supervision of the Vizier Ankhaf. While it doesn't mention gold or jewels, it reveals the tightly organized construction project and has sparked theories that the real treasure might have been hidden elsewhere to avoid theft. Some scholars have even suggested that the ancient Egyptians deliberately sealed the treasure in secret chambers that have yet to be found. Notably, in 2017, the Scan Pyramids project used muon scanning technology and discovered a huge void nearly 30 meters long above the king's chamber. With no known entrance, many wonder whether this cavity could be a hiding place for treasures or important artifacts. Beyond theories of gold and riches, some believe the real treasure of the Great Pyramid is knowledge itself. Many speculate that hidden within the pyramid may be papyrus scrolls holding secrets of astronomy, mathematics, or religious rituals, much like the Ipuwer papyrus. Others imagine that secret rooms, such as the Big Void, might contain the legendary Book of Thoth, a mythical text of divine wisdom. However, so far, there is no evidence to support these theories, and most scholars maintain that the Great Pyramid was primarily a tomb, not a library. Legends of treasure in the pyramid are also kept alive by tales of tomb robbers and curses. Some sources mention dangerous traps such as cobras, poisonous hematite powder, or razor-sharp wires meant to guard the treasures. Yet even these hazards couldn't stop determined thieves. By the time of the New Kingdom, the pharaohs were forced to bury their dead in the Valley of the Kings to escape increasingly rampant looting. To this day, the mystery of the treasure of the Great Pyramid of Giza remains unsolved. Did robbers take everything, or is there still a fortune hidden somewhere in chambers, yet to be discovered? The origins of mummification medicine, the mystery of immortality. The mummification techniques of ancient Egypt began around 2600 BC and stand as one of the most astonishing achievements in human history. The Egyptians believed that the body was the vessel of the soul, and preserving it from decay was essential for pharaohs and the elite to live forever in the afterlife. The mummification process typically lasted 70 days. It began with the removal of internal organs, leaving only the heart intact. Priests then dried the body using natron salt, applied precious tree resins to the skin, and carefully wrapped the body in hundreds of meters of linen, interwoven with protective amulets between each layer. Yet, what amazes today's scientists most are the medicines the Egyptians used. These substances not only prevented decomposition but also left the mummies fragrant even after thousands of years. In 2023, a study published in Nature analyzed 121 ancient jars found at the Saqqara Mummification Workshop, revealing the surprising diversity of the medicinal compounds used by the Egyptians. Researchers identified the anti-U compound, a blend of cedar oil, juniper oil, and animal fat, used to protect the head and body of the mummy from odors. Resins from the Burseraceae tree family, beeswax, and animal fats were employed to soften and preserve the skin. Remarkably, some ingredients had extremely distant origins: elemi resin from Africa, damer resin from Southeast Asia, and pistachio oil from the Eastern Mediterranean. These findings prove that as early as the 7th to 6th centuries BC, the Egyptians were engaged in trade routes stretching thousands of kilometers. In 2025, the University of Ljubljana published a study using gas chromatography and electronic nose technology to analyze the scents of 9 mummies at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The results revealed that most mummies carried woody fragrances. These scents not only helped with preservation, but also gave the mummies a pleasant aroma. One of the most controversial discoveries came in the 1990s, when scientists found traces of cocaine and nicotine in the mummy of Henut Tawi. These compounds are found only in tobacco plants native to the Americas, which were unknown in Egypt before Columbus's voyages. This led some to hypothesize that the Egyptians may have had contact with ancient America. However, most scientists believe this may be due to contamination or confusion with native plants containing nicotine. Ancient documents like the Ebers Papyrus offer many clues about Egyptian medical knowledge. This text lists hundreds of medicinal recipes, including frankincense for its antibacterial properties and plant oils for skin protection. Many ingredients were imported along trade routes from the Levant and Southeast Asia, demonstrating that the Egyptians established an extensive supply network. How did the ancient Egyptians combine these medicinal ingredients so effectively? Some scholars think this knowledge was accumulated through generations of experimentation and keen observation of herbal effects on wounds. Archaeologist Mohammed Mujahid, while studying the mummy of Kui in 2019, discovered a type of synthetic resin dating back to the Old Kingdom, showing that Egyptian mummification techniques were advanced very early on. Even today, despite scientific advances, the true origins of the medicines used in mummification remain a major mystery. Did the Egyptians rely solely on practical experience, or did they possess a body of knowledge beyond their time? Mummies that still carry the scent of frankincense and precious woods are not only marvels of preservation, but also gateways to the vast wisdom and secrets of a great civilization, still waiting for humanity to uncover all that remains unknown about them. Bab el-Zuwaylah Gate and supernatural phenomena in the heart of Cairo. In the heart of Old Cairo, the towering stone gate known as Bab el-Zuwaylah stands as a silent witness to centuries of history. Built in 1092 under the Fatimid dynasty, Bab el-Zuwaylah is one of the last 3 remaining city gates. Located at the southern edge of the ancient Islamic quarter, it once served as the main entrance for countless caravans, soldiers, and travelers. Its 2 soaring minaret towers and sturdy limestone walls made Bab el-Zuwaylah not only a defensive stronghold but also a symbol of Cairo's power and legacy for nearly 1,000 years. The name Bab el-Zuwaylah comes from a Berber tribe that served the Fatimid court. Over the centuries, the gate has witnessed countless bloody events. During periods of unrest, prisoners were often executed and their bodies hung right on the gate. The most chilling episode came in 1517 when the Ottoman Empire conquered Egypt. The heads of 800 Mamluk warriors were severed and displayed on Bab el-Zuwaylah as a grim warning to all would-be rebels. These harrowing memories have fueled legends of lingering spirits haunting the ancient gate. Cairo locals believe that on bright moonlit nights, the shadows of Mamluk warriors can still be seen patrolling around Bab el-Zuwaylah as if they are guarding the city as they once did. Some say they've heard heavy footsteps or the clang of metal, recalling the sounds of armor and swords. Stories of ghosts, strange noises, and an unshakable feeling of being watched are passed down from generation to generation, adding to Bab el-Zuwaylah's air of mystery. A famous folktale tells of a 19th century gatekeeper who saw a white figure beckoning from atop the minaret. When he climbed up to investigate, no one was there. only a sudden chill that left him shaken. Modern scientists have also tried to explain these phenomena. Some studies suggest that feelings of being watched or hearing odd noises may be caused by infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that the human ear cannot hear, but which can induce anxiety, paranoia, or even hallucinations. The unique stone architecture of Bab el-Zuwaylah, combined with strong nighttime winds, could easily create these eerie effects. Another theory proposes that toxic gases or bacteria lingering from ancient corpses trapped within the stone crevices might affect those who come too close, an occurrence also noted in ancient Egyptian tombs. Despite these scientific explanations, the legends around Bab el-Zuwaylah never lose their appeal. Many people believe the gate is actually a spiritual portal connecting the world of the living and the dead. Modern stories tell of ghostly figures appearing in photographs taken during major festivals or historical anniversaries, or sudden overwhelming sensations that make visitors think of the presence of spirits. The famous psychologist Carl Jung even remarked that supernatural events can be linked to collective mental states, especially in places heavy with historical energy like Bab el-Zuwaylah. Alongside ghostly legends, the gate is also associated with fringe theories about ancient magic or aliens. Some see the complex geometric patterns carved on the gate and speculate that they might contain secret messages from a lost civilization or even from extraterrestrials. However, archaeologists assert that these designs simply reflect the artistic tastes of the Fatimid era, and there's no evidence of UFOs or strange technology at this site. Egyptologist Salima Ikram believes that the supernatural tales and experiences at Bab el-Zuwaylah are actually how ancient people explained what they couldn't understand, much like the stories of mummy curses in Egyptian culture. No matter how many theories or explanations emerge, the mystery of Bab el-Zuwaylah endures. Are the apparitions and strange sounds truly the spirits of Mamluk warriors, or merely products of human imagination and natural forces we still don't fully comprehend? Bab el-Zuwaylah, with its steadfast stone walls, continues to stand in the middle of Cairo as a gateway between past and present, reminding us of the enduring power of history, memory, and mysteries humanity has yet to solve. Number 17. The mystery of the Temple of Hathor and Ancient Sound. On the banks of the Nile, about 60 kilometers north of Luxor, stands the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, one of the best preserved monuments of ancient Egypt. Built in the 1st century BC during the Ptolemaic dynasty, this temple was dedicated to the goddess Hathor, the deity of love, music, joy, and dance. Hathor was often depicted with a sun disk and cow's horns, symbolizing life and death and guiding souls to the afterlife. But the Temple of Hathor was much more than just a place of worship. It was the center of grand rituals, where sound played an essential role. The limestone walls are covered with hieroglyphs and bas-reliefs telling stories of the gods. During ceremonies, priests would play the sistrum, a metal rattle instrument, producing shimmering vibrations. They believed the sistrum's resonance pleased Hathor and created a bridge between the human world and the divine. One of the most famous mysteries at Dendera is the Dendera light relief. This image depicts a long object resembling a glass tube with a filament inside connected to a large stone box. Ancient alien theorists claim this is evidence of ancient electrical technology. However, Egyptologists explain that the image symbolizes the snake god Harsamtis being born from a lotus, a religious icon tied to Hathor's rituals of music and light. What truly sparks curiosity is that the temple's deep corridors show no soot marks from torches, raising questions about whether the Egyptians used some other source of light or special acoustic techniques during their rituals. Modern researchers suggest that Dendera's limestone architecture may have been designed to amplify sound. When priests played the sistrum and sang during ceremonies, the sounds would echo and resonate throughout the chambers, creating a sacred atmosphere. The sharp, bright tones of the sistrum not only drove away evil spirits, but also served as a means of communication with Hathor. Archaeologists have found evidence that music, singing, and dance were always integral to ceremonies held here. Some modern acousticians, like John Stuart Reid, have studied the possibility that the Dendera temple produced infrasound, very low-frequency sound that humans can't hear with their ears, but can feel through their bodies. This infrasound could evoke awe, foster a deep sense of connection with the divine, or even aid healing during rituals. The ancient Egyptians seem to have understood the power of vibration, and the temple's design may have been intentionally crafted to enhance this mysterious effect. There are bold theories that the Egyptians used sound as a technical tool. Some believe that priests knew how to harness vibrations to move large stones or even to cut and shape carvings. However, Most archaeologists, such as Professor Salima Ikram of Cairo University, insist that Egyptians mainly relied on copper tools and traditional craftsmanship. Still, some ancient texts, like the Ebers Papyrus, do mention the use of sound in healing rituals, showing that they recognized the effects of vibration on human health. Supernatural tales further fuel the temple's allure. Locals say that at night, the echoes of the sistrum or strange whispers can sometimes be heard from the empty halls, as if the spirits of the old priests are still performing their sacred duties. In 2023, a visitor reported hearing mysterious sounds inside the temple, even though there was no one nearby. This could be explained by infrasound effects, but it also helps to keep the ancient legends alive for new generations. Some even link the mysteries of Dendera to theories of ancient aliens, claiming that the reliefs here are evidence of cosmic sound technology. Yet, scientists like John Romer stress that these are purely religious art, not advanced devices or alien symbols. Despite all the theories, the enigma of ancient sound at the Temple of Hathor remains unsolved. Perhaps the priests really did use vibrations for healing and communion with the gods. Or maybe they simply created a sacred atmosphere through music and architecture. The Dendera Temple, with its storytelling stone walls, still stands as a gateway to the past, challenging us to unravel the secrets of a brilliant civilization where sound and faith combined to create a legacy that transcends time. If you found today's story fascinating, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on exploring more unsolved mysteries with us. See you in the next video.